Sorry. So hello, good evening. Should we start? So what do you observe on the first page of the newspaper? Anything important, relevant, or nothing is important as such? First page. Nipah virus, is it important? There are so many viruses, so many diseases. Nipah is not COVID. So is it important or not? Important? Okay, yes, it is important. So we are also taking Nipah virus. Now first of all, any disease that is in news, not every disease becomes important, but any such disease which can have decent impact on substantial number of our people, we will certainly consider those diseases at least. Now we need to understand whether Nipah is that serious or not. Now first of all, look at this thing. Whenever you see any disease, first thing that should come in your mind is whether it is due to a bacteria or a virus, or what exactly is it behind. That should be in your mind, because examiner, they are more interested in this particular fact. And it's very easy to confuse you people. They'll give you different number of diseases and just ask virus, bacteria, protozoa, what is it? Simple. So when you're reading, your mind should be, programmed in such a manner that focus on this aspect first. Now here, no need to remember, because anyway, Nipah virus, we are using the name virus. So it's a virus. Okay. Now, when you look at this virus, we call it a zoonotic virus. This term is very important. Zoonotic. Any idea what is zoonotic? Transferred by animals. Okay, so the virus starts from animals, but then it comes to human beings somehow, because humans got in touch with animals some way or the other. Let's say there are some pigs or there are some bats, and the virus was there in their body somehow, and then it got transferred to us. Let's say there was a fruit on which this bat was sitting, or let's say bat was trying to eat that fruit or whatever. Later on you took that fruit, and the saliva or some droplets of saliva of bat were present on that fruit. Now it was contaminated, and the same virus which was present over there got entered in your body. So zoonotic disease or zoonotic virus would be one which will be transferred or transmitted from animals to human being. Any such disease will be called as zoonotic disease. Okay? For COVID-19 also we were using the same term, right? Zoonotic. Now one more thing I would suggest, specifically for prelims, in case you are reading about important diseases, try to remember when you are looking at any virus, try to look at their family and genus, and this is something you will have to mug up. There's nothing to tell on this. It's just technical part. At least for the major diseases and major viruses, try to remember their family and genus. Okay? And when it comes to virus, whether it is DNA virus or RNA virus, this is the factual part you have to remember. This is factual part only. In this case, Nipah virus is an RNA virus. Okay? Now, first of all, where did this story of Nipah started? So initially we see the story starting in Malaysia in the year 1999. So there were some pig farmers in Malaysia, and there we first saw this Nipah virus coming into picture. Now as far as India is concerned, we saw initial cases of Nipah virus in West Bengal. So there's a place called Siliguri. Yes, Siliguri corridor, you must have heard. So in that region, we first saw the outbreak of Nipah virus. So that was around in the year 2001. Later on in the year 2007 also, in West Bengal we saw the outbreak. Again we saw outbreak in the region of Kerala in the year 2018, 23, 2025 also recently. More or less this disease or this virus is very common in South India and South Asia and Southeast Asia. Okay, so Southeast Asia, when I say, again Malaysia, Singapore, all those countries, Cambodia, etc. In those countries we observe this Nipah virus coming into picture. Now first of all, is it a serious disease or not? This is something we want to look at. So we observe the symptoms, normal symptoms, just like any virus gets into your body, then your body will activate the defense mechanism. So body will start heating, you will get some fever. Fever is considered to be a good thing, because that's where we see your body's immune system is working against that virus, trying to kill that virus. Simple. So normally for any virus you usually get fever, then headache, drowsiness, etc., etc. Now here we see things getting more complicated. Mental confusion developing in people. People getting into the state of coma, and there is a possibility of death. Now the possibility of death is relatively very high in case of Nipah virus. So we check this with something called as fatality rate. Okay, fatality rate, if you have ever heard this term. Something is fatal. Fatal means deadly. So in case of Nipah virus, let's say 100 people have got affected by Nipah virus. We have confirmed, we have checked, we have done all that testing, RT-PCR and all. After that we confirm that 100 people have got this Nipah virus. Okay. Now in this case, the fatality rate is somewhere in the range of 40% to 75%. Now, do you think it is serious? Or we'll take the extreme case, 75%. 100 people got affected, 75 will die. The end. Right? So the fatality rate is very high. That's why we are concerned about this disease. And the good news is, there is no vaccine. Okay, so there is no specific treatment for Nipah virus. There is no specific vaccine available with us. What doctors do is they come up with any antiviral drug which they can give for any particular viral disease. They try to use that and somehow try to deal with the symptoms. Okay, so is it serious? Yes, it is serious. Simple. Okay, factual part for prelim specifically. Zoonotic, family and genus, RNA virus. This is the most important factual part. Okay. Now, how does this get transmitted? Although this you can understand on your own. If you are in a direct contact with the infected animal, an animal is already infected with this virus, and you are in touch with this animal somehow. So in that case, let's say there's a pig or bat, as I said, if you touch that animal or if you're very close to that animal, there's a possibility that virus may get transmitted to you. Or consumption of any contaminated food, the example which I have given you already. If that food item is already contaminated, you have eaten it. The speciality of virus is it a living thing or a non-living thing? Are you sure? Living thing. Then why doesn't virus work on its own, as in like we have bacteria and all which is alive? Virus is not usually alive. If I keep virus over here, let's say on this pen I have kept a virus over here, I don't see any activity as such. It's not increasing in number, it's not eating anything, it's not sleeping. Why? So although we'll not get into the technical part for now, but simply virus is something which comes in the middle between this living thing and non-living thing. It's not completely living thing like us or animals or plants. It's different. Normally when I put this virus over here, it's not working, it's like a dead thing. But when it gets inside my body, when it finds a host, I'm the host in this case, when it gets inside my body, now it gets activated. Now it becomes alive and starts multiplying. Interesting? So that's the case with virus, which you should know. Okay? That's it about Nipah virus. Any doubt? Yes, human to human you can understand now, yeah. If one person has got, other person is anyway get it through some kind of droplets, some kind of fluid. That's very obvious. COVID-19, we know how it was getting transmitted. We can understand that. Clear? Doubt? No doubt? Fair. Now get to the news item on this editorial page. Tell me first of all, how important is this topic? If we categorize into stars, 1 star, 2 star, 3 star, 4 star, 5 star. Huh? 5 star. Okay. So yes, it's kind of 5-star topic, we can say. Very important for exam. That is the idea of secularism. Although anyway you people will study idea of secularism, in your GS2 when you study polity. So in the constitution part, you will understand that India's constitution gives this idea of secularism. Then secularism as a term is also mentioned in your syllabus of Indian society GS paper 1. Okay, secularism, communalism, regionalism, all those terminologies are given. So the Indian society also you will study that part separately and in detail. Okay, right now we'll just look at it briefly. Now what do you understand by this term secularism? What do you mean by this? Not? Not connected to religion. What? Spirituality is secularism. Okay. Achha, not connected to spiritualism. So India is secular or India is spiritual or what? How many of you are don't believe in any religion as such? Same is the case with the entire India.
State doesn't differentiate religion.
Huh?
State doesn't differentiate religion.
State doesn't differentiate when it comes to religion. Okay, no discrimination when it comes to religion. Okay. Is Iran a secular country? Theology, a theocracy we say. Okay. Is China a secular country? Huh? Communist countries. So communist countries are secular or not? Go and think about it. Okay. Now simply, communist will be like anti-religion completely. Now this idea of secularism simply is we are going to separate state and religion. Now when I say state, I'm not talking about Maharashtra, Telangana, Karnataka. I'm talking about the idea of state as a political unit. India as a state, Pakistan as a state. Now we are trying to separate state and religion. That means whatever activities state is carrying out or state is supposed to carry out, in that affair religion will not interfere. And similarly the vice versa. That means whatever religion is supposed to do, in that affair state will not interfere. So let's look at religion's sphere or what religion tries to do. Religion is about your private life. Right? You believe in God or you believe in some kind of form, you read some scriptures, you propagate your ideas. So religion is about your private affair is what we understand. Now whatever you do in your private life, state has nothing to do with it. State should not have anything to do with it. State should not even interfere in that matter. Right? This is the idea. And when it comes to the affairs of the state, religion should not interfere. Now go to Iran, what you will observe, or let's say you go to any Islamic country. Islamic country is the best example because they are being ruled by Islamic rules. Right? Let's say Sharia. Now here, religious text is guiding how the state will run. How state will run. That is being guided by religion. So in Iran, we have this Ayatollah Khomeini, who is the supreme leader, right? And the Islamic texts are guiding what will exactly happen. Even when, let's say, state has to give education, this text will provide the guidelines. Are you getting the point? Now, there is a history behind this idea of secularism coming into picture, especially in the medieval times. Religion was dominating over all the affairs of life. It is being said that in the medieval times, religion used to decide everything. How you will live, what kind of clothes you are going to wear, what kind of language you are going to speak, what education you are going to get, how the state will run, how it will be structured. Everything is coming from religion. And we saw the role of the religious organizations. Let's say in case of Christianity, it is the church. The role of church in state. So when state is working, the politics is taking place. In the politics, the role of church was being observed and it was very much high. Okay. And we saw a transition from medieval times to the modern times. The difference comes into picture from medieval times to the modern times in this term that we have changed this scenario. wherein the role of religious priest or religious organization in politics, this we have tried to reduce. Okay, this we have tried to reduce or completely remove altogether. And that's where this idea of secularism came into picture. What we saw is when religion gets into the affairs of politics and all, we saw many religious wars starting in the world. Many religious wars taking place between Islam and Christianity. In the Christianity, Protestants versus this Catholics. So entire Europe has observed many such wars for years, for decades. We call it religious wars. And after that, people came to conclusion that we need to change something. So they came to conclusion that let's change the system altogether. Let's bring a king, a very powerful king. Let's bring capitalism. The concept of capitalism emerged after that. And in this sphere of constitutionalism, let's bring secularism. Let's separate. When it comes to religious sphere, let religion do whatever they want to. That's your private affair. Do whatever you want to in your private affair, but don't come into politics. And in this part, it was clear that you do whatever you want in your secular sphere. Let's say I want to build a road over here. Religion has nothing to do with it. State will decide, right? If state has to give education, they'll not take anything from religion as such. They'll just give education. They'll think about education rationally. Fine. That was the core idea behind this idea of secularism, wherein we are separating religion and state. Now, one benefit of this would be, let's say in a country, all the people, or let's say majority of the people belong to one particular religion, right? In that case, the possibility is very high that there will be a state religion of that country, right? For example, Pakistan, they have state religion as Islam. Right? There will be some countries, let's say they have Christianity as state religion, let's say Buddhist countries, it is possible. But when you say you're a secular country, you're separating religion and state, there the state will not have any official religion as such. State will say, we have no religion. When we have no religion, that means we are not going to discriminate between religions. Now, because this was a Western idea, came from Western countries, they were very clear that we want to separate these two things. So they said, let's have complete extreme separation. Let's have very extreme kind of separation that we see in the Western model of secularism. So in this extreme, they have completely separated. Okay. Whereas in case of India, we see a different kind of model. What we see in case of India is, in India, people are very religious. And let's leave the people part. We are anyway governed by what religion says. It's very difficult for anyone to bring religion out from us. It's not possible. Our social system, let's say marriage is taking place, their religion has role to play. If let's say a child takes birth in a family, their religion comes into picture. Almost every aspect of our life is also governed to some extent by religion. So religion is core part of our way of life, our culture, right? And India is a pluralistic society. So it's not like our society is very similar, homogeneous as such. We are very different. Different races, different castes, different religions, etc., etc. Okay? And India never had a problem with religion as such. Even if there are multiple religions, people of different religions living together, that was never a big problem as such. Right? So India adopted the idea of secularism, but our idea of secularism is not of extreme or strict separation between religion and the state. There is separation, but it is not strict separation. So what happens over here? If let's say state wants to do something for religion, let's say there is a festival of Hinduism, state might give public holiday on that day. State might declare that. Okay. Now this is something wherein state is giving some support to religions. Now this will happen in India. State might support religions, but state will support all religions. Also, state might interfere. Let's say in a particular religion, state finds out that there is a practice which is not good practice. Right? For example, this sati tradition we had, right? Yes? Triple talaq. Now these are those practices, or untouchability you can say. If such practices are there which are against the constitutional values, state will interfere. See, there is separation between state and religion, but state is interfering when needed. So this kind of model is called as principal distance model. Normally we will maintain distance, but if required we will not maintain that distance. Okay? This is the core difference between Western model and Indian model. Now in Western also there are different models like US model, French model. In France they go for extreme. They are like, in the public you can't even display your religion. That means, let's say you are wearing something which showcases your religion, something of a particular color. Now that is not allowed in France. They'll say it's your private thing. Keep your religion at your home. Don't bring it in the public areas. They go to that extreme in France. That's not the case in USA. USA is different. Okay, but you see, because India's secularism, idea of secularism has been indigenously developed with time. Now if you go to ancient times, we have Ashoka. In his time, this idea of secularism had become very common in India. So we have our own history. That's why our model is different from Western model. We are not following the same. If you ask Western scholars, they'll say that India is not a secular country in true sense. They'll say this thing, because they're looking at things from Western perspective. Okay, we say India is pluralistic. We are not atheist, we are pluralistic. So we give importance to all the religions. Clear? Now constitutionally, this term secularism was not part of constitution originally. When constitution was written originally, this word was not added. Now it was deliberately done because that time it would have given a sense of Western origin to it, or we would have thought that it's the same definition that is there in Western texts that we are adopting. So we didn't take the text. But if you see the Constitution of India, if you see the provisions that are there in the Constitution, even if the word secularism was not used, still we had many articles like Article 25 to 28. They give freedom of religion. Any person can follow whatever religion they want to. Now this is the idea of secularism. State has no religion. Right? So when you look at the Constitution, you will get that the values of secularism are present. It's just that the term was not mentioned. But then came Indira Gandhi. She said, let's complete the task. So through an amendment, 42nd amendment in the year 1976, she added this term secularism in the preamble of the Constitution. Right? And we have this case, S.R. Bommai case in 1994, because many people challenge this word, that we are not so secular, why you are putting this word and all. We are not even socialist also, why you have put this word socialist in the Constitution. Likewise, there are cases. So in this particular case, Supreme Court clarified that secularism is part of the basic structure of the Constitution. Means no matter what, you cannot remove secularism from Constitution. Okay? So this is what is important. Remember 42nd Amendment, remember this S.R. Bommai case. Yes? Any doubt? We have time? Yes. Next article. Smoke and sulfur. They are talking about something called as flue gas. Flue gas. Now, if you see the power plants, especially the thermal power plants, and in many factories also, from their chimney, this part which is there, from where you see that smoke coming out. So when you see that smoke, what you observe is this flue gas which comes out of this exhaust. This flue gas is composed of multiple gases. It includes carbon dioxide. Now carbon dioxide is important because it's causing global warming. Whatever temperature rising we are observing, that is because of carbon dioxide more or less. Obviously there are greenhouse gases, but carbon dioxide is playing the major role. Then sulfur dioxide, that is also part of this flue gas. Because of sulfur dioxide emission, we see acid rain and many respiratory diseases. Many people get this respiratory diseases. Okay. Then nitrogen oxides, then carbon monoxide, particulate matter, water vapor. All these are components of this flue gas. Okay. Now the point is, this flue gas is a problem. We don't want this flue gas, or we want to reduce the emission of this flue gas, because we see so many things are part of it and we don't like any of that. Okay, carbon monoxide, one of the very toxic gas. If you inhale that, you are supposed to die. And particulate matter, that is also problematic for us. So we want to reduce that. Now what government did? Government thought about a technology. Here there is something called flue gas desulphurization. Now here they are specifically focusing on one technology which focuses on sulfur. Okay. So when this flue gas is getting out of this exhaust, before that, this flue gas desulphurization, if you do this thing, the sulfur will be removed. So there won't be this sulfur dioxide emission as such if you go for using this technology. Yes? Easy? So is it a good thing? It's a good thing. So government thought about it. So in the year 2015, government came up with a notification. So we have this Ministry of Environment, Forest and Climate Change. They came up with a notification in the year 2015. And they said, all the thermal power plants in India, now they have to use this flue gas desulphurization thing. This technology they have to use. Whatever has to be installed in your power plant, you have to do it anyhow. So government put a deadline. Before this deadline, you have to install whatever needs to be installed and ensure that sulfur emission should not be there. Okay. This happened in the year 2015. But in reality, the implementation could not happen. So deadline was missed. So government said we are extending the deadline. So this thing continued. 2020 also this continued. In 2021 we got the data that only 8% flue gas desulphurization units were installed. Only 8%. Out of 100, only 8. Right? So we see there is a delay that is happening. So this continued in 23, 25 also. So recently government came up with this notification that most of the coal plants have got some kind of exemption. You don't need to do this. They have got exemption. Okay. So there is a delay. Government has also relaxed the norms, and that's why this article is in news. Is it a good thing? It's a good thing. Government has relaxed the norms. Government is saying, okay, don't do it. Is it a good thing? It's not a good thing. Right? That's it. Any doubt? So basic, you should remember what is flue gas, what it all includes, what is flue gas desulphurization. You should just know that sulfur emission or sulfur dioxide, this pollutant will be reduced because of flue gas desulphurization, where power plants or even factories also you can use it. Clear? The next one is related to carbon credit trading scheme. Any idea what is carbon trading, carbon credit? Yes.
All the developed countries have this carbon credit, so that how much the credit they have, that much only they can use carbon.
Okay.
So they trade like.
Is it for countries or is it for companies also? Private companies.
Country.
Okay. So basic, let's understand the basic part. Carbon dioxide emission is very high. That is a problematic thing for all of us, because of which global warming we are observing. Now we want to reduce that. One thing we have to do is we have to reduce carbon emission. Right? So from wherever we see carbon emission taking place, that we want to reduce. One of the ways, focus on those industries from where we see carbon emission is very high. That is one way we can think about it. Okay. Or another way is any industry which requires lot of electricity. lot of electricity, let's say there is steel industry or any particular industry which requires lot of electricity to work and operate. Now, how do we generate electricity? Maximum of our electricity comes from thermal power plants, more than 50%. Thermal power plants have coal, we burn the coal, then again carbon will come out, right? So any such industry which takes more electricity, they are also causing more carbon emission, right? So somehow we want to reduce carbon emission. Now if you ask private players to reduce carbon emissions, they will not listen to it. Simple, they don't have any motivation. They need something in the form of money, otherwise they will not be interested. So this new idea came into picture. If somehow we can provide some trading dimension to this carbon. So let's say there is a company called company A and company B. Okay, and government has set a norm, a rule that carbon emission should not go beyond, let's say 40%. Just for the sake of example I'm taking, let's say 40% is the limit they have set. Now in case this company A, their emission is somewhere around 60%. Okay, and carbon B, their emission is around 20%. Now what government will do? Government has set this norm. Both of these companies belong to the same industry, let's assume, and for entire industry government has set this particular norm. If you cross 40, government will penalize you. You have to pay some penalty, right? And if you have not crossed it, very good, government will be happy with it. Now 60% here, 20% here. Now government came up with the idea, let's punish also and let's give some reward also. Let's give some reward for those companies who will reduce the emission. How emission can be reduced? Companies can change the technology with which they are working right now. If they change the technology, they come up with a new technology, upgraded version, then the emission can be reduced to some extent. But why would company put their money in that? Only if they find that in future they'll be earning something out of it. So the same idea is applicable over here. There came the idea of credit transfer or credit trading. Here you see, here 20% more emission is done by this company A. They should pay some penalty, whereas this one has done 20% less emission. They should get some reward. Government said, do one thing, do some trading over here. If someone has got something in surplus, see, this company could emit 40% till 40% limit. So 20% they did not do. They have 20% in surplus. Okay, for that they have got this credit. Okay, they have got one credit of 20%. Now they can sell this credit to another company. This company is crossing its limit by 20%. So they'll buy this 20% credit from this company. They'll pay some amount to this company and they will buy this credit. But when they buy this credit, their 60% becomes 40%. So they are also here with the government rule, and now they have sold their credit of 20%. They are also at 40%. Are you getting this point? This is called carbon credit trading. Okay, basic idea simply is to motivate these companies to invest in such technologies wherein emission will be less. Clear? Yes? Now, in the year 2012, initially this PAT scheme was introduced by this agency called Bureau of Energy Efficiency under Ministry of Power. Okay, but this scheme was specifically focusing on saving the energy, whatever electricity is being consumed by industries. This was for some specific industries only. Whatever electricity you are consuming, reduce that. If you reduce, we will give you some kind of certificates. If you reduce your electricity consumption, you will get this energy saving certificates from this Bureau of Energy Efficiency, and you can sell these certificates in the market. That was initial idea. But here the focus is only on saving electricity consumption, and it is not focusing more on that energy, what we call that emission which is being done. Whether that will be reduced or not, they're not talking about it in this PAT scheme. So later on came this new scheme, Carbon Credit Trading Scheme, in the year 2023. Okay, so in this scheme they have specifically focused on this emission part. Rather than focusing on how much electricity you are saying, they are not talking about it. How much carbon emission you are making, they are focusing on that dimension. Okay, so this is the idea of India's carbon credit trading scheme. Although this article is specifically saying even this is not enough. They're saying that even if you're taking these actions, even these are not enough, because when you're bringing this scheme, government is focusing on particular sectors. Some sectors, let's say steel industry, this industry, they're focusing on some sectors. Government is saying it is possible that in one sector you might find some companies are reducing the emission, but some companies are not reducing the emission. Overall, when you calculate for the entire economy, you might find that your overall emission is the same. So the article is saying, don't focus on this industry specific, focus on entire economy of India. Do you overall see the emissions getting reduced or not? This is what writer is asking. Clear? Yes, bit technical but easy. So that's it. That's all for today. If you have any doubts, please ask. Yes? No? Okay then, thank you so much.